but that one doesn't touch on the other topics I want to discuss, and it doesn't really set the table for everything.
All right,
All
man.
right, man. You
Ready?
ready?
And wait, talk again. It was a little echoey. I want to make sure we're. Will you say something?
Yeah. What about now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. In the middle of it, Jeb Hart here with you today. So happy y'all could join us on Wednesday the 25th. Got Clayton Harris with me in the studio in his looking like a little deep V baseball coach's windbreaker on, looking good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
And with the double gold chain with your baseball starter kit, full.
Yeah, man. That's right. I didn't know you could see that well.
It's yeah, for those of y'all playing at home, it is a propaganda drawing of a baseball coach I'm looking at.
That's it.
Um,
That's it.
yeah, but thank y'all for being with us. So we got a busy show for y'all today. I'm going to start today by fulfilling a promise. We talked about it yesterday, getting into the sordid details. I promised yesterday I was going to dive deep into the story of Major General who has gone missing and the stories around it and the structure of what's real, what's not, how things get to this point, and kind of do. We're going to just open with a deep dive on that. Might run into our second segment and do a little overlap, so keep me addressed on time because I did go deep into that one. I also want to touch in on some of the updates with the Strait of Hormuz and some of the folks coming in to help us out that we touched on a bit at the end of Three Dudes. And also there's a crime story coming out. I think this got put in the group, but I did a deeper dive on the Florida woman at the zoo. We'll get into it near the end here, but it is an absolutely, it's absurd even by Florida people standards.
It's real.
So
It's real.
it's real.
Oh my god.
I've looked into it, and
Oh
we
man.
do not worry, people. It shall be it shall be dove into. But like I said, let's start with this. When a retired U.S. Air Force Major General, someone who ran the Air Force Research Laboratory, someone who oversaw billions of dollars in advanced aerospace defense research, someone who later served as director of special programs at the Pentagon, he walks out of his house with a backpack, a gun, no phone, and disappears. There's no phone call, no trace, no clear explanation. So obviously, people are going to start asking questions. And right now, there are a lot of them. Because this isn't just any person who disappeared. This is a gentleman named General William McCaslin. He lived deep inside the world of highly classified aerospace and defense programs for decades. And it's a world most of us are unfamiliar with outside of movies or our assumptions, but it's a kind of world where what you're working on isn't known to the public. Who you're working with certainly isn't available to the public. Oftentimes, it's not even available to you. A lot of times, the existence of the work that you're doing, the fact that you're even working on it, isn't publicly available. So, like, and according to a lot of the authorities, there are some medical concerns. They issued a silver alert. The FBI becomes involved. Investigators start pulling surveillance. But beyond that, they got very little. And when we go into situations like this, the reason I didn't talk about it yesterday is because you have to be disciplined going into these things because you don't have any evidence of foul play, any direct evidence. We don't have any confirmation of anything beyond the fact that he's missing. And that does matter because there are already tons of theories flying around that go well beyond the facts. And there's a lot of insertions of narratives or connecting of dots between government extraction or cover ups or abductions or something bigger. And right now, those aren't proven. And if you treat them like they are, you start to lose credibility. You can ask the questions, but you need to do them in a measured way, because the part that a lot of people miss, especially those that dismiss it, is that these theories exist for a reason. They're not random. They are being built out of very real pieces. Because when people start digging, not even that deep, into McCaslin's background, you start to find something that is very real. He wasn't just some retired general. He ran the Air Force Research Laboratory, overseeing billions in science and technology development, both for private and government entities, most of which is shrouded in mystery. Before that, he was the director of aerospace acquisition, then the director of physical programs at the Pentagon, special programs rather, not physical, yeah, I believe it's special programs. So, like, this is a world of special access, compartmentalized research. Like, one person's working on one thing, but you don't know what it's going to, like highly restricted information. So when people ask, why does his name come up in these conversations? The answer is it's not random, because that's where he operated, because his name does show up. Like, we've talked about this before in the 2016 WikiLeaks emails, an exchange involving John Podesta and the guy from Blink 182, Tom DeLonge, discussing what they call the sensitive topic tied to advanced aerospace and unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs. Now, does that prove anything extraterrestrial? No, but it explains something more important. It explains why people might think that, because it places him at the edge of these conversations the public doesn't fully understand. And then the silence begins to do what silence always does. Authorities say they're following the evidence. His wife warns about misinformation. Officials push back on speculation, all of which may be completely appropriate. But it also creates an information vacuum. And in 2026, vacuums refuse to stay empty. I mean, it's an old physics saying, it abhors a vacuum, but now more so than ever, they get filled, and they get filled fast. And now they add in the additional cases that are being tied to it, of the aerospace engineer Monica Reza, working in a similar high-end technical world, advanced systems engineering environments that often overlap. Specifically, certainly broadly, they do, with defense and government adjacent work and shadowy dark spaces. And then she disappeared. It's unresolved. She goes out to go on a hike. This is not, I looked into that. It's not Mount Everest. It's kind of in canyons in LA. It's a pretty kind of standard, like hot girl type walk. It's not extreme. It's not remote wilderness. They're not climbing K2. She's within 30 feet of her trail mates. They turn around and she's gone. Massive, massive search. There was no like crevasse she could have fallen into, or like rock under, or cliff over. She's just gone. And there's no clear explanation. And this is the important portion, is that there is no publicly confirmed evidence that a covert program connection between her and McCaslin. But there is enough of an overlap in the field, in the environment, in the institutions, in the kind of work that they operate around, that people, not for no reason at all, start asking, is this a coincidence? Is this maybe connected? And once again, the question gets asked, and it continues to be asked, the narrative starts to build around it. Because now you have a senior figure in classified programs missing, an aerospace engineer missing, a shared world of advanced and opaque, shadowy research, just enough public information to suggest decent overlap, but not enough to explain it or explain it away. That's how you cook up a theory. That's how they come to existence. That's the formula. And then it expands again because people start reaching for more places. They pull in other cases. Caltech astronomer Carl Gilmar, highly respected scientist, shot and killed at his home. Now, this is where the discipline in how we look at these things does matter, because in that case, the suspect was arrested, charges were filed, no public evidence tying that event to McCaslin or classified Pentagon programs or to anything extraterrestrial. But once a narrative starts forming, it begins to absorb new pieces around it. Even weak ones that don't quite stand on their own, if you pull them into the overall, composition of the thing you're building, it can stand with the help of those other pieces, but not on its own. Because in all three of these cases, they can feel like a pattern, even if they're not. And that is how these sort of things work. People don't build conspiracy theories out of nothing. They build them out of real details arranged into a story that feels complete. And when they combine highly classified work, unresolved disappearances, real names and sensitive conversations, and just enough silence from officials, you don't get patience. You get a narrative because human brain doesn't like gaps. It fills them. And, you know, if you only look for information that confirms a connection, you can build one. And that's the other piece that people don't like, is that if you go looking for evidence that supports a theory, you're going to find it, but you won't find what challenges it. And without that, everything starts to look connected even when it isn't. Now, if we take 3 or 4 steps back, because this isn't just about these cases, it's about trust. People don't trust that they're being told everything. And in some cases, many cases, that trust is earned. Not always, but enough times that people don't forget. And so when something like this happens, you don't start from zero. You start from, what are we being told? And that's where the danger and the reality meet, because the questions themselves are not unreasonable, but the answers people build from them aren't always correct. And that gap right there between real and what's merely possible or plausible, that's where it's the melting pot of conspiracy theories. So you need to be curious and ask questions and demand clarity, but stay disciplined. You know, the existence of patterns does not prove a connection, but the existence of question does not make them unworthy of being answered. And so, like, until the facts fill the gap, something else always will. When the truth is slow, silence can be really loud. So with all of this, I don't want people to stop asking questions. I just want them to start answering those questions for themselves, whether those answers are right or not. And I know we are coming up on a break, so that's more of a preview. On the second side, I'll get into what we do know for sure, what's speculated, and what the overlaps are, and then we can discuss. But we'll catch that on the other side. Thanks for being here.
Hey y'all, Sergeant Jennifer Dalton with Columbia Police Department here. You're listening to 101.7 FM, Front Porch Radio. Slow down in town, y'all.
Experience snoring, trouble sleeping, daytime exhaustion? All of these could be signs of a sleep disorder. Dr. Samini Uman is bringing her sleep practice to Middle Tennessee, offering both clinic and online appointments with proven results. Telehealth appointments with no waiting rooms, home and in-lab sleep studies with local sleep lab partnerships, including Williamson Med Center. Visit oursleepdoc.com or call 615-302-8039. Your path to better sleep starts here.
Discover Prime and Pint in downtown Columbia, where great food meets great company. Join us for weekly specials. Tuesday is Texas Tuesday with a rotating menu that gives back to local causes. Wednesday is half off burgers and pints all day long. And on Thursday, don't miss our prime rib dinner carved fresh by our chef. Make your night memorable at Prime and Pint, 105 East 6th Street, Columbia. Prime and Pint Butchery and Public House.
The Mules are back in town, April 9th to 11th at the Murray County Park, Columbia, Tennessee. Live music, vendors, contests, and yes, mules. Mule pulling, gated mules, mule scrambles, and more. Join us Thursday through Saturday at the Murray County Park. Don't miss the Mule Day Parade, 11 a.m. Saturday, April 11th. Visit muleday.com for a complete schedule of events. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Happy you'll be, or the service is free. And the Murray County Visitors Bureau. Plan your visit now at experiencemurray.com.
This is Coach Tredaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Robert Rogers at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
And I'm Michael Parks Lawrence at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
Together, we're Mr. Bobby Parks' grandsons, and we run his dealership, and we are glad to be part of our local community.
Being family-owned and operated, we invest heavily in our community.
We do things like sports teams, schools, bands, you name it. We try to help everybody we can.
The reason why we do this is because we all love this community.
So come do business with us, your neighbors, at Parks Motor Sales in Columbia, Tennessee, right off Nashville Highway, or at parksmotorsales.com.
Let's talk custom design jewelry. Did you know Tillis Jewelry in downtown Columbia creates custom design jewelry and has been for over 30 years? From one-of-a-kind engagement rings to wedding bands and so much more. We want each piece to be as unique as you are and create a family heirloom for tomorrow. Call today and make an appointment with one of our designers. And just for calling, you will receive a free 30-minute consultation. Tillis Jewelry, creating custom jewelry proudly in Tennessee.
Spring starts at Trips Ace Hardware. On Saturday, April 25th, join us for our 5th annual Spring Day. Our garden center will be in full bloom. Explore premium grills from Rectech, Weber, and Big Green Egg with live demos throughout the day, and Milwaukee Tool on site with a full demo tent. Come see us at 112 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Thanks for shopping local at Trips Ace.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Do you have trees that need trimming or removed? Do you have stumps that you want grounded? A1 Tree Trimming and Removal is a family-owned and operated business local to Columbia and Lewisburg. They also service surrounding Middle Tennessee. We are licensed and insured and provide free estimates. No job is too big, no tree is too small. Give old Luke a call or text Luke at 931-359-3113. Or you can check them out on Facebook and tell A1 Tree Removal that you heard this ad on the radio. If you love America, then you will love A1 Tree Removal.
You're not just a homeowner, you're also an ice maker that didn't read the job description owner. Fortunately, you've got heating and cooling built and tested to keep going. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call Davis Heating and Cooling at 931-388-2090 for all your home comfort needs. Davis Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard dealer and proudly serves the Murray County area. Find Davis Heating and Cooling online and on Facebook or call today, 388-2090.
This is Debbie Matthews with the Nashville Realty Group, and if you've been paying attention, you know the housing market has been tough, but rates are beginning to thaw. So if you're thinking about selling, the time to jump in is getting better every day. But if you're thinking about buying, and those interest rates are still a little bit too high, a good agent knows how to negotiate interest rate buydowns, and I'm a good agent. So call me, Debbie Matthews with Nashville Realty Group, 615-476-3224.
Hi, I'm Matt Perales, manager of Murray County Equipment. We help you with all your agriculture and construction equipment needs. We carry a full line of New Holland tractors from compacts to high horsepower. We have a full line of Gravely mowing equipment. We also have New Holland construction equipment, attachments, and accessories for your tractors and a complete parts department. We are locally owned and operated. Come see us at 1075 North James Campbell Boulevard or learn about us on Facebook or contact us at 931-490-8183.
This is Trip Stoltz with Columbia Ace Hardware. I love listening to 101.7 WKOM FM, Columbia, Tennessee.
Okay, we'll still send it code 3.
This is Lieutenant Orlando Cox with the Columbia Police Department, welcoming you to Columbia, Tennessee, home of the Mule Day Parade. We're expecting large crowds, exciting parade, and a lot of activities throughout Columbia. As we celebrate, please slow down, stay alert, and watch out for pedestrians. Follow officers' directions and avoid distractions. Please buckle up. Let's work together to keep Mule Day safe, fun for everyone. Have a great Mule Day weekend.
Welcome back into In the Middle of It. I'm Jeb Hart, happy to be here with you. It's Wednesday the 25th in the middle-ish of the morning. Thank y'all for being here with me. Clayton Harris on the controls in the studio. How are we, Clayton?
Doing well, Jeb. Good morning.
Good morning to you, bud. All right, so in our first segment, we went over the conspiracy at a high level, kind of how things got there, how people get there.
And
Now
I was gonna before you get into that though. Would you say that the overwhelming, or at least the feeling that I've gotten over the past maybe year or so, is that the conspiracy theorists are batting probably a little bit over 500?
I think, depending on how you do the math because I think the thing with all of this, like we had discussed before, is that they're not built out of nowhere. So it's easy to take a victory lap when like the core of your argument was correct, but a lot of the dots you connected weren't true, but the ending of it was true-ish, more or less. You can take a victory lap, and then I think there's a lot of post-rationalization with a lot of these things, but they haven't been. It's certainly true that people who've been called crazy for even bringing stuff up in the past 5 to 10 years have been vindicated more often than is historically normal for things that have been lambasted as a conspiracy or ridiculous. That part's true, but I don't think they're batting 1,000 on their 500%. I think they're getting some of the key aspects of it more or less correct, but how they built to that, there might be a lot of holes in their jumps, but you can claim victory without being completely correct because you weren't totally wrong.
I think one of the bigger ones that comes to mind over the last couple of years was, it was racist to say that the COVID-19 virus came from the Wuhan lab in China. And
oh yeah,
guess what?
That part
that was true.
Racist was just a framing of it to stop people from doing it out loud. That was the social pressure put on it. The science pressure was more so than that because it was a definitive. It didn't come from there.
Yeah, it came from what do they say? Like some type of meat market,
wet market with a pangolin and a bat, and so they came at the in order to discredit. Then again, you can fill in blanks there. Like, was it because they're trying to protect the WHO and NIH funding? Because they were funding labs, they wanted to keep it quiet. It didn't really matter where it came from because they knew what it was. That's how you start to extrapolate out. It is true that there certainly was an effort to demonize it. Where the coordination or motivation came from in that, I think we still have to get to the bottom of, but it definitely is real. And so, I think it's a good point to kind of go on to what we're going to talk about now, which is what we do know. And from this to build off of that, because if you take a step back from all of that portion and separate what we know from what we think we know, because there is a difference between what's confirmed, what's being reported, and what people are building in the absence of answers. And if you don't separate those things into the proper columns, the lines could start to blur. So let's separate it out cleanly. First and foremost, we'll go into what we do know. That William Neal McCaslin is a retired U.S. Air Force Major General, with a career spent inside some of the most sensitive corners of U.S. defense and research. The former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory, overseeing more than 10,000 people, billions and billions in advanced aerospace and propulsion, materials, weapons systems, the kind of work that exists years and years, sometimes decades ahead of what the public even knows is being worked on. Before he worked there, he worked as director of special programs at the Pentagon, which is not a ceremonial title, even though it does sound fun. We're doing a program. It's like a Christmas pageant. But it's the special programs one is in the world of the compartmentalized programs where there's restricted access. People work in silos and don't know what other people are working on in those sort of need to know environments. And so when he was reported, and we do know that he was reported missing, and we do know that he left with his backpack, we left with a gun, and he didn't bring his phone. And a silver alert was issued, which typically indicates a concern for some elderly person's well-being. Authorities have referenced a few medical concerns. His wife has come out and publicly pushed back on the idea that he was suffering from cognitive decline. So those two things do kind of go against one another, the silver alert and the cognitive decline that she has stated. The FBI has assisted and started their own search in conjunction with local authorities. Authorities say they're following evidence-based leads, no confirmation of foul play, No confirmed resolution. That's the foundation on his end of what is reported as known. Now you can go to what is being reported. His name appears in the Podesta email addresses in exchange involving Tom DeLong discussing what they described as a sensitive topic. Connection to aerospace and seriously aggressive unidentified aerial phenomenon. And again, it's not speculations. Those emails exist. What it means is still unclear because being mentioned is not the same as being involved, but it does place his name inside the real conversation about topics the government has historically handled with a ton of caution and a lot of silence. Because it matters because it gives people something to attach the story to fill in those gaps. There's another layer as well, is that in that environment that he operated in caused him to go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where he led the Air Force Research Laboratory. And this is not just a research hub. It's also historically where Project Blue Book was based, the Air Force's official UFO investigation program. Now, the government's position on those cases has been documented, but the cultural association between the two never really went away. So when people hear AFRL, Wright-Patterson, special programs, aerospace, Blue Book, they're not starting from a blank slate and filling in those gaps. They're starting from decades of either existing research or an existing narrative. So that's where it starts to widen up, because you go into Monica Reza, an aerospace materials focused scientist with work tied to performance alloys, the kind used in extremely insensitive experimental environments. She also worked in rocket propulsion. She disappears on that hike in Southern California. Like we said, not remote wilderness, not extreme terrain, a well-known, well-blazed trail. Search efforts came up completely empty. The case remains unresolved. Now, here's where the precision matters, is that there's no confirmed public evidence of a direct cover-up or direct program connection between her and McCaslin. Keep wanting to say McFarland. But their professional worlds overlap at a very high level and very often. Advanced aerospace, defense-adjacent research, highly technical, highly specialized environments. That overlap is enough for people to notice, not enough for people to prove, but big enough to ask a reasonable question. And you could feel it, right? Like the moment where coincidence starts feeling like more. And then you had the third case being pulled into the conversation, the Caltech astronomer, Carl Gilmar. He was a very respected scientist known for pioneering work in astrophysics and the study of planetary systems beyond Earth. He was shot and killed on the back porch of his home. Now, this is different because in this case, the suspect has been arrested and charged. Law enforcement treats it as a sort of similar criminal act. It's not a disappearance or an unexplained event. It's just, and so conspiracy theorists and everybody else will jump on to this and say, well, yeah, they have a patsy, or because there's always ways you can fill in these gaps if you don't want them to be there. And people tend to jump into those spaces. But at any point where you lose the ability to be subtle or to ask questions, and you're told to stop asking questions. I don't know when people in like higher society or people who run things will start to learn that answering questions or telling people they're ridiculous for asking questions does not stop them from asking them. It just lends more credence and adds more gaps for them to fill in. And I know that at the CIA level and things like that, a lot of times they'll create conspiracy theories to occupy people. They do. I mean, the one that I kind of believe is part of that would be the Denver airport thing, where it's probably the new Greenbrier, if I had to guess, the Fallout bunker is essentially located and all that. But they sprinkle in all that weird art to make people think it's Illuminati or go down that rabbit hole or do that. Like counter psyop is nothing new to the CIA or places like that. So it's not something that anybody should be like all that shocked is going down. And so I think that when people try to do that. They fill in those gaps and want them to be there without ever doing. I mean, because when you were looking into this, Clayton, like how much of the like counter side or like refuting evidence did you look into, or was it just the article as it was presented?
It was just article as it was presented. I mean, but
yeah,
again, I mean, you got to take it all with a grain of salt. I understand what you're saying, and I tend to agree with you that, you got to dig into the details to find out what the real story is. Even though we don't necessarily know the real story. I mean, hell, I'm sure there's conspiracy theorists out there saying that these two, or at least the two that went missing, were, abducted by aliens or something crazy. I'm sure. I mean, so sometimes things are just coincidental.
Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And I think that the idea of telling people, though, that's a ridiculous question. I think it's a bad thing to tell children. And we always try to, kindergarten and everything, always try to, there's no such thing as a bad question. You're trying to learn, but as soon as you become an adult, it becomes, how about you shut up about that? That's a dumb question. Our suggestion box is closed right now. True. And you're like, okay, but it seems reasonable to me. And if you could just answer it, because if it's ridiculous, you can give me, an answer because it's so ridiculous, you could clear it up. They're like, I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. And they think it's going to go away. Most of the time, people are just like, oh, if you're not going to answer it, I'll answer it myself. And we end up here. But I know we're heading up to the break. We can circle back on this upon our return. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you on the other side.
From Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
We at Hollins Pharmacy must be doing something right. We've been providing pharmaceutical services in the Middle Tennessee area for over 60 years. The guiding principles of our business are fast, accurate, friendly, personal service. We do not have long waiting lines, and our phone calls are answered by a staff member. We strive to get to know our customers by name, not just a date of birth or number. We are your locally owned hometown pharmacy, and we appreciate your business. We urge you to come visit us at Hollins Pharmacy, 1608 Hatcher Lane here in Columbia.
Hey, this is Derek Ransom with 10 Pin Alley, voted #1 family entertainment center in Murray County. We offer 32 bowling lanes, giant arcade, laser tag, bumper cars, and a full cafe and bar menu. We also specialize in group events, kids and adult birthday parties, company parties, sports team parties, and holiday parties. We're located at 322 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Call us today at 931-381-BOWL or visit us at 10pin.com. 10 Pin Alley, it's where the good times roll.
In today's uncertain world, you can never be too careful about your family's financial future. That's why the Parker Group, a part of Baird's Private Wealth Management, is offering a free second opinion on your financial plans. Let us review your current plan, and we will identify any gaps and offer suggestions to improve it. Please call the Parker Group at 931-548-3737. That's 931-548-3737. Robert W. Baird & Company Incorporated does not offer tax or legal advice.
This is Mark Curry at the Trailer Store. We are a local, family-owned business. Every day, I work with my wife, Susie, my mother, Becky, and my son, Justin. We offer a full line of lawnmower trailers, utility trailers, stock trailers, and a full line of trailer parts. We also offer service. Come see us at 1021 New Lewisburg Highway. Call us at 931-381-2795. That's 931-381-2795.
Farmer Johnny here, Taylor Family Farm. I want to give y'all a little look-see. We raise 100% non-GMO, grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and pork on our family farm. Everything that we grow is raised with love and care to ensure the highest quality and nutrition for our family and customers. You can shop online at TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com or visit our farm store in person at Etheridge, Tennessee at 301 Dave Reisner Road. That's TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dobson, owner of Caring Hearts Home Healthcare here in Columbia. For over 20 years, we've proudly served our community, locally owned and operated, providing trusted care you can count on. We support seniors, individuals with disabilities, and even short-term care after surgery. From personal care to homemaking and companionship, our team is here to help you or your loved one live safely and comfortably at home. Call Caring Hearts today at 931-381-5470 or stop by in person, 1121 Trotwood Avenue here in Columbia.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones & Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones & Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Hello, my name is Zach Maddox. I'm a proud third-generation owner-operator of Columbia Paint and Wallcover, founded by my grandfather, Ralph Maddox, in 1946. We offer a variety of paint and wallcovering products, but our passion is customer service. We can offer many personalized services and can come out to your house or business if needed. Come visit us at our Columbia location or our new Spring Hill location behind Church of the City, or visit us online at paintcolumbia.com.
This is Coach Devin Simler from Columbia Central Baseball. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
I didn't know we were making the yacht rock transition in the middle of it today.
Little Doobie Brothers, man.
And Michael McDonald giving me what the people need on this Wednesday.
Hey, he's in our listening area.
Is he out of Michael McDonald? I hope you're tuning in. Big fan of your work, and going from Doobie Brothers to you and starting yacht rock by accident, I think is brilliant. It's a brilliant soundtrack to the late 70s, early 80s. Just spectacular stuff. I didn't know I needed that this morning. So when we left off, again, thank you, got Clayton here, and we're kind of going into what we knew was real and what we were, because there's still a bit more on when we're talking about the astronomer Gilliam, because that was the third. That was the third one that needed tidying up, because we get to the end of the story of like what's true and what's not true, and we try to put it together, because you like what I said, like kind of at the end, there's like you just start to feel it going, and then have you ever bought a car and like you never seen them before, and then you buy that car and you see them everywhere?
Yeah.
It happens because you're looking for it. You didn't notice them before. They just went past. But once you start looking for things and your eye is trained to see the connections or see a pattern or see a thing, whether you recognize it or not, you notice things that otherwise you wouldn't have seen a connection, or they would have gone right over your head or past, because it's what you're choosing to look at. And so if we go from, what Monica, who went missing, and like I said, there's no direct overlapping cases between them, but they overlap at a high level in a pretty niche field, with defense related contracts, and a lot of it's covered in shadows and mystery and all that. But Carl Gilmar was a respected scientist known for his work in astrophysics. He was shot and killed at his home. And this one is different. Like I said before, they have someone arrested and charged, and law enforcement has treated it just like a regular criminal act, not a disappearance or some unexplained event. There's no public evidence linking that incident to McClassen, to Reza, or any classified program, really. But once a narrative starts forming, people start pulling in anything that feels adjacent or like it belongs, not because of evidence, but because of pattern recognition. Like a general advanced research general is missing, a scientist in aerospace materials missing, astrophysicist killed. Like all of those things in the same broad universe of work, but a very tight and niche community of clandestine and secrety work. Like once those pieces are placed next to each other, the human brain does what it always does and it connects them. Now, everything beyond that point is where we move into the speculation side. If was it a coordinated activity? Was it suppressed programs? Non-human technology? Were they extracted by the aliens? Are there cover-ups? Is it none of is it any of those? Is it all of them? Again, none of that is confirmed or is there any direct evidence? But that's kind of the part that actually matters is why those ideas take hold. Because when you combine variably high level credentials, fields that are historically incredibly secretive, but always opaque. You combine that with real but incomplete information, events that remain unsolved with incomplete information, you create those gaps, and gaps are uncomfortable, and people don't like to leave them empty. And to be fair, they use logic, intuition, and reasonable suspicion. And sometimes, like we said, with a pretty good nose to the ground, they're not wrong all the time. And as of recently, their batting percentage has gone up a decent amount more. But like you won't find, but if you don't look into it, like I said, you got to find what challenges it because without that, everything starts to look connected, even when it isn't. And like the line to hold on would be like curiosity is justified, pattern recognition is human, but correlation is not confirmation. And right now, there's still no verified evidence that ties these events together, no single coordinated explanation, only proximity, only overlap, only unanswered questions, a story making an effort to try to connect them all. And that is exactly the kind of environment where stories grow faster than the facts, but they feel just as real.
No, I think that's about as accurate as you can get.
Well, I try to. I do my best. Is there anything you want to add on to that?
I don't think so. I think if there's a couple more that go missing, then it's just going to make it even worse. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I do think it was bound to be talked about for the simple fact that you got all this UFO disclosure stuff being talked about. I don't know if you saw where the federal government went ahead and got the URL for aliens.gov, and it was noticed by the press. It wasn't something they released, so obviously they're preparing for this disclosure. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to what all they disclose, what all we know.
It is interesting. I've always wondered, like so many things that we do, both as a country, as a society, that we just continue to do. I wonder where they like start because this idea of should it come to pass that, you know, a lot of the Area 51 suspicions or Roswell or, you know, bases in Ohio, should those come to pass in a hypothetical future? At some point a long time ago, people got together and like, all right, we're going to keep this a secret and restructure the government in order to keep this a secret. Or even before that, there's like levers and built-in protocols within our supposedly and purposely built government that's supposed to have oversight and three branches and no one is more powerful, but and people are accountable and voted on and all that. There's some levers or mechanisms within it that allow things to be completely secret. A lot of which we know about, you know, black budgets where they kind of, it's just an empty chest and you don't get to know where it goes. We have those. We have a lot of things like that. And there's a reason for things to be secret, military operations and stuff like that. But such a coordinated effort to keep things away from the people. And presumably for I think in their head, it's for their own good, or this is too much, or national panic if they don't understand.
Right.
And that's where you fill in the gaps because you assume that's their motivation. It could be as simple as they don't even know what to tell anybody. It's like, we found this stuff, don't know what it is either. And because you look at the changing in posture of the government in the last 10, 15 years, going back before that, anything whatsoever was rebuffed and dismissed immediately.
Absolutely.
Like full stop. It was, are you kidding me? No, we're not taking, that's ridiculous. Go away. Then it shifted to, the Navy releasing the stuff with like the Tic Tac videos and the other stuff. And that shifted to them being like, yes, that video is not doctored. It is real. And no, we don't know what it is. And so that posture has shifted from a complete denial to an acknowledgement that it is real and the acknowledgement that they don't know what it is, which very well could be the totality of the truth. There is that, like, they verified that it is a thing that we caught on this radar, this camera, or this system or computer, whatever it is. We have direct evidence that that thing is real. We don't know what it is. That could be the end of it. But if you lied for so long about it, the same video you're now saying is totally real, but you don't know what it is, you spent quite a while saying was fake. So you, again, have lost trust, and people start to believe, all right, you're just telling us it's real and you don't know what it is because we know for a fact that it's real. And now you're just trying to screw us over here. Like, that's where it starts to get, it takes a long time to build back trust after it's you yourself confirmed that you were in fact lying. But so I find the posture shift interesting. And I also find the mechanisms within government to be able to keep deep secrets with a lot of people involved to be very impressive. Because, like, the oldest sentence of the world, the only way to keep a secret between three people is if two are dead. Like, so these massive things to be able to keep people silent that long has to have a mechanism or a structure that makes that even possible. Because now with smartphones and technology and everything else, sneaking a picture or getting a recording or any of that, it's like back in the 50s when it was some tabloid article of like, man gets abducted. Yeah, you walk past it when you're at the grocery checkout line of the Inquirer and move on because it does get, a bit ridiculous. But then there's reasonable military installations that have seen things, credible people have seen things, multiple people have seen the same thing in separate places with, completely aligning reports and police statements. So, like, there's something there. I don't know what it is. I don't know the severity of it. I don't know what they know, what they don't know. I know they know more than they're telling us because that's always the case. Do I think they know everything that the people that were like, they have alien names and they know who they are, where they come from, they're monitored. Like, there's people who fill in these gaps way too much. I do know that they know more because they always do. I don't know if they know everything people assume they do and are hiding that. But it is interesting to see where it goes. And the aliens.gov thing I think is interesting. But I don't know if they have to register it because .gov, they're the only ones who can use it in the United States. But for them to register in aliens.gov, I mean, there's also a chance that that's Trump putting together a self-deporting website.
Yeah.
And because we're not supposed to call them illegal aliens, they're supposed to be undocumented. So he comes up with aliens.gov. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
That's true too.
To go to self-deport, go to aliens.gov.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
So yeah, you got to touch all the hypotheticals or options there.
I take before we go to break, because we're up against a break here in a couple of minutes. CNN right now is reporting that in 2028, a Mars mission will use nuclear electric propulsion technology in space for the first time. NASA announced that earlier. So
yeah, I saw that yesterday. Additionally, the moon base situation that's going to take place over like a decade is interesting. I think this is the part. So a lot of times when we look back on the space race and the amount of money spent, people kind of distill it down to a penis measuring contest with the Soviet Union. And in many ways it was, but it also, well, there's so much technology that we got out of that program that built us there. It just seems like a vanity project, but we did get a ton of things that we still use today or things that were built upon that today. And the same thing, like if you look at F1 in cars, it does look like multinational corporations competing for bragging rights with billionaires' children driving them. But like hybrid cars and regenerative braking and all of that stuff came out of Formula One into our everyday lives because the push at the highest edge level of performance creates innovation. And we've talked about nuclear reactors and the utilization of them on here a bunch of times. I think it's the most efficient, but some of the holdback points are that they take forever. They're giant. They're incredibly expensive. But these micro nuclear reactors, we do them on submarines. We've done them before. It's not out of the realm of possibility anyway. So be able to scale smaller reactors to have them more localized, easily replicable, not to have nearly as centralized of a power source. Because if you have a bunch of them, it's spread out. So you don't have one choke point or one breakdown thing. It could help the grid a lot if this becomes viable. I think it's great to look into. And I'll do more on that later because it is actually really interesting with a moon base and everything. But that one does require its own time. But we are at the top of the hour. Thank you for being in the middle of it. We will see y'all on the other side. Thanks for being here.
Looks good on you. And when you smile for the camera, I know I love you better. Hey, it will come back to you. Hey, it will come back to you. Then the shutter falls, you see it all. It's your favorite foreign movie.
This is Coach Tredarius Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
We at Hollins Pharmacy must be doing something right. We've been providing pharmaceutical services in the Middle Tennessee area for over 60 years. The guiding principles of our business are fast, accurate, friendly, personal service. We do not have long waiting lines and our phone calls are answered by a staff member. We strive to get to know our customers by name, not just a date of birth or number. We are your locally owned hometown pharmacy and we appreciate your business. We urge you to come visit us at Hollins Pharmacy, 1608 Hatcher Lane here in Columbia.
Hey, this is Derek Ransom with 10 Pin Alley, voted #1 family entertainment center in Murray County. We offer 32 bowling lanes, giant arcade, laser tag, bumper cars, and a full cafe and bar menu. We also specialize in group events, kids and adult birthday parties, company parties, sports team parties, and holiday parties. We're located at 322 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Call us today at 931-381-BOWL or visit us at 10pin.com. 10 Pin Alley, it's where the good times roll.
In today's uncertain world, you can never be too careful about your family's financial future. That's why the Parker Group, a part of Baird's Private Wealth Management, is offering a free second opinion on your financial plans. Let us review your current plan, and we will identify any gaps and offer suggestions to improve it. Please call the Parker Group at 931-548-3737. That's 931-548-3737. Robert W. Baird & Company Incorporated does not offer tax or legal advice.
This is Mark Curry at the Trailer Store. We are a local, family-owned business. Every day, I work with my wife, Susie, my mother, Becky, and my son, Justin. We offer a full line of lawnmower trailers, utility trailers, stock trailers, and a full line of trailer parts. We also offer service. Come see us at 1021 New Lewisburg Highway. Call us at 931-381-2795. That's 931-381-2795.
Farmer Johnny here, Taylor Family Farm. I want to give y'all a little look-see. We raise 100% non-GMO, grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and pork on our family farm. Everything that we grow is raised with love and care to ensure the highest quality and nutrition for our family and customers. You can shop online at TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com or visit our farm store in person at Etheridge, Tennessee at 301 Dave Reisner Road. That's TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dobson, owner of Caring Hearts Home Healthcare here in Columbia. For over 20 years, we've proudly served our community, locally owned and operated, providing trusted care you can count on. We support seniors, individuals with disabilities, and even short-term care after surgery. From personal care to homemaking and companionship, our team is here to help you or your loved one live safely and comfortably at home. Call Caring Hearts today at 931-381-5470 or stop by in person, 1121 Trotwood Avenue here in Columbia.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones & Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones & Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Hello, my name is Zach Maddox. I'm a proud third-generation owner-operator of Columbia Paint and Wallcover, founded by my grandfather, Ralph Maddox, in 1946. We offer a variety of paint and wallcovering products, but our passion is customer service. We can offer many personalized services and can come out to your house or business if needed. Come visit us at our Columbia location or our new Spring Hill location behind Church of the City, or visit us online at paintcolumbia.com.
This is Coach Devin Simler from Columbia Central Baseball. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
On the farm, uptime isn't just nice to have, it's a must-have. That's why JLG Ag telehandlers are a multitasking workhorse. Whether moving and loading more, stacking higher, or even accessing tighter spots with compact models, these machines help poultry, cotton, and row crop producers maximize every moment on the job. Once you get behind the wheel, you'll get more done. It's that simple. See JLG Ag telehandlers for yourself. Come out to Try Green Equipment in Columbia, just off Theta Pike.
Mini Cooper, Volvo, BMW, Land Rover, Jaguar. Hi, I'm David Usselton, owner of Usselton Motorworks Foreign Car Repair, located in Columbia, Tennessee. We're at the corner of West 12th and South High Street. We offer a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty on all repairs. Come see us in Columbia, Tennessee, or call us at 931-215-1765, or visit us on the web at usseltons.com.
The Mules are back in town, April 9th to 11th at the Murray County Park, Columbia, Tennessee. Live music, vendors, contests, and yes, mules. Mule pulling, gated mules, mule scrambles, and more. Join us Thursday through Saturday at the Murray County Park. Don't miss the Mule Day Parade, 11 a.m. Saturday, April 11th. Visit muleday.com for a complete schedule of events. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Happy you'll be, or the service is free. And the Murray County Visitors Bureau. Plan your visit now at experiencemurray.com.
In the middle of it, Jeb Hart here with you today on this Wednesday. We're in our second hour. I appreciate y'all being here. Got Clayton Harris in the studio with me. How are we, Clayton?
Doing well, Jeb. Good morning.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear it. Get into a few other stories before we close. We're talking about mini nuclear reactors and kind of advancements and how this sort of stuff works. And we're talking about the technological advancements made through the Apollo programs and the general space race. Out of that, the products we got were microprocessors and integrated units, wireless headsets, digital image sensors, mini cameras, memory foam, scratch-resistant lenses, Velcro, reflective insulation, infrared thermometers, prosthetic legs, advanced ones, water purification systems, remote health monitoring, improved aircraft design, freeze-dried foods, cordless power tools, smoke detectors, home insulation and efficiency tech, athletic shoes for shock absorption, satellite communications, weather forecasting, and GPS.
Wow.
So anybody who looks back on NASA or these advancements, there is a benefit. Like, I think there's two sides. There's probably three sides. There's always more than that, but I'll distill it down to three. There's the side that looks back on history and thinks it was a giant waste of money and it was a gentleman business measuring contest with the Soviets. And there's people who take pride in the other side of that. It's like, we beat them, haha. Then there are other people that look back and think it was a money pit strictly for that. Then there's people who can look back on it and be prideful of what we accomplished and see the benefit in it while also recognizing that hurling government money at something can often be a dangerous idea and needs to be monitored, but isn't without its, societal benefits. Because there is a ton that comes out of it when you are at the very edge and the thing that you're trying to do has never been done before. You might have to build something that hasn't been built before or create something that doesn't exist. And from that necessity comes creation. And I'm interested to see in this new space race version that we got going where the next technological leaps come, because it's been said a million times over the internet and elsewhere, but the amount of computing power I have in this phone is something like 500 times more than the entire Apollo 11 mission had.
Correct.
I forget the exact number, but some comical amount more. And so, but we kind of cut that whole, going to the moon, and we built the International Space Station, had the shuttle program and all that, but we kind of did pinch the hose of that sort of innovation a while ago. And it took 40 years for us with SpaceX, for another major, space exploration innovation to happen in reusable rockets and to make it more cost efficient, to make investments in the other more cutting edge things at the tip of the spear, which I'm excited to see what comes from that, because we have so much more technology now to make those developments, be it 3D printing or CAD or all of these other things that didn't exist back then that we were able to accomplish.
And you and I are I'm a few years older than you are, but don't you think it'll be exciting for us to see in our lifetime a man land on the moon?
Yes, very much so. I think it'll also be very exciting to be able to shut down the moon landing faked rumor stuff, because there are laser things up there and a bunch of other stuff. But I think it'll be very cool, and the footage will be a lot better. That'll be, obviously it's going to spark another round of theories that this too is fake or whatever. I'm excited to see where that side of the internet goes with it, because they're creative people. But I'm excited. I think it'll be awesome. I'd love to watch it with my son and explain, because all of us, not all of us, but you and I and anybody who wasn't alive during, but we look at landing on the moon. People who are alive look at it the same way they look at 9/11, or not in the same way, but it's just a moment in time. You know exactly where you were. You remember the fallout. In this case, you remember the lead up, because it was a big thing forever. And it's a seminal moment in life. We all just look at it as, yeah, that's a thing that happened, because it's always been a thing that happened since before we were here. So it just exists. Like, we weren't part of that build up, that moment, that, like, you can be a fan of it, but never get to experience what it actually was. Like, before the Cubs won the World Series 10 years ago, whenever it was, when they hadn't won in 100 years, like, Cubs fans could say, like, we've won before, but they've never felt it. They weren't a part of it. They didn't get to see the buildup, the anticipation, the excitement, to see it, to be there. So those moments that become history, if you don't live in them, they are just part of a book and a shared history. Once you get to live it, it's part of yours, and that's where it gets really neat. I'm excited about it. I think a lot of good can come from it. I don't think it's a wasteful project by any means. I mean, I know there are fair arguments to be made by people about where money could be better used, or, we have homeless veterans. They're all fair arguments to be made, but the greatest political statement of all time, I think, is by Thomas Sowell, that in politics there are no solutions, only trade-offs. Yeah. And that's, anybody who tells you they have a solution is lying. And anybody who tells you it's a win-win is lying. There is a trade-off to be made somewhere, and that's all it ever is. And it's deciding which trade-off you're willing to make, what the cost-benefit analysis is. And that's so multifactorial, because it's, will this cost me an election? Will this work? Does taking money from this help this more than it hurts the thing I'm taking it from? What's the It's always trade-offs. And so we look at politics far too often in absolutes or in binaries, or like this is a fix or this fixes that. Yes, this might fix that program while pulling money away from this program. In many cases, that's okay. That program doesn't need it, it's inflated, or it's been put into something else, whatever. But the idea that it has to be good or bad, or this fixes the problem. No, it just moves stuff around, and understanding that makes all the difference in the world, and it allows you to address it much more tactfully with less reactionary understanding that there is no other way that it can function besides trading off. But that's where people will inevitably go, is like, we have, the homelessness here or crime here, or people will jump to that. And I think it's a fair point to make if it's made correctly with, the proper backing of what you would rather do with the money and things like that. But shutting it down without weighing the cost of benefit or what could be gained or proposed, I think is not fair, because I don't know where we'd be without GPS. I don't know how to get to a lot of places anymore. I mean, Velcro, while I don't know what nerds would do with their wallets. It'd be really tough. So, I mean, a lot comes from it. But we have a few other updates on some global news stories worth maybe tapping into. I know in the last segment I've been trying to do a bit more research on the Florida story that I alluded to. There's a chance it's not real. So I'm still going to tell it anyway, even if it's not, because if it was real and I didn't tell you about it, I never forgive myself. So we're going to get out ahead of it with the caveat, but we'll do that in the later segment. This one is good. We talked about the Strait of Hormuz a bunch here.
Yeah.
We all know what it is. We know why it matters. Like we're good on that part. But we got to talk about what's different now. And it's not the geography of it, but it's who's showing up. Because this isn't just the United States parking ships in the Gulf anymore. What you're watching starting to form now is a coalition being built, not on paper, but in reality. It is in motion. And if you kind of step back on a GPS map, you can see who's there and who's at the core of it. And the people who are there are historically who you'd expect. In the past few weeks, you might not, but it's the United States, United Kingdom, and France. France has an aircraft carrier, England doesn't, but historically they have naval power to a degree. It has been dwindled, certainly in Britain's case. Not being able to get the Dragon out of Portsmouth in 3 weeks is not a glowing sign of war capability, but they do have blue water capacity historically. And then you add in the other layers of countries who are providing assets and men: Australia, Canada, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, and a few others, countries that don't always dominate geopolitical headlines, but they do bring a real capability, more so than that, more so than the ships or the surveillance and the logistics. They bring in more nations on the same side in a public-facing posture. You brought in the regional players. This is probably the bigger one, with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain. And that's where the U.S. Navy Fifth Fleet is based. And like these aren't like distant participants. They're directly exposed folks who are right there, who have a vested interest in it, both from a safety standpoint and a financial standpoint. And then you add on the quieter fourth layer of it, which is the countries contributing intelligence, coordination, support. And I think it's 30 nations, like I said before, but don't picture like 30 fleets like showing up flying flags. It pictures like a system, a network, just a group of nations getting together with a common goal, because it's not about ships floating in the water. It's about the coordinated effort that's layered, continuous, and in real time, because you've got naval escorts for tankers. That's important. You've got air surveillance with drones and patrol aircraft, satellite tracking, shared intelligence pipelines, and most importantly, communication between militaries that don't historically operate together. And if you've ever looked at like what coalition warfare looks like, that's kind of the hardest part, not the ships. It's not the ships, it's not the guns, it's not the bullets. For most of the nations, it's about the coordination. Simple things like different language or different rules of engagement or different hierarchy of ranks or different political or financial limitations. And yet they're aligning around the singular objective, which is to keep the strait open no matter what. That's the goal that they're around. So if we look at it from last week to now, it's a big difference because it isn't just about the protection, it's about the signaling of what it means. This is the world basically coming out and saying that the lane is not up for negotiation. This lane right here, we're not up for negotiation. This one's got to stay. And we're going to keep this. Y'all can talk about how you end this war here, but everybody else, we're keeping this open. Y'all handle your business. It's the first real signals of the off-ramp here. The more people you can have commit to helping to keep the strait open, it limits the only lever Iran really has left to show any sway outside of random drone attacks. And you have other nations putting sweat equity, men, resources, toil and treasure into keeping it open, stabilizes the global market, requires Iranian oil to go through the market exchange with certified money behind it. All of those things, but it's also being backed up by those people who have the vested interest in it, because we don't actually use any of the oil that comes out of there in any meaningful sense. So the people, instead of the threats to NATO, helped a ton because they all know that it's just the U.S. and their friends, and they're not going to stick up for themselves. This is the first chance they've had to. They need to. I know we are at the break here, but we could circle back on that. But I think it's a good sign for the off ramps to come that the planned rollout and stability is starting to garner more nation support and coordination. So we will catch y'all on the other side.
You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Robert Rogers at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
And I'm Michael Parks Lawrence at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
Together, we're Mr. Bobby Parks' grandsons, and we run his dealership, and we are glad to be part of our local community.
Being family-owned and operated, we invest heavily in our community.
We do things like sports teams, schools, bands, you name it. We try to help everybody we can.
The reason why we do this is because we all love this community.
So come do business with us, your neighbors, at Parks Motor Sales in Columbia, Tennessee, right off Nashville Highway, or at parksmotorsales.com.
Let's talk custom design jewelry. Did you know Tillis Jewelry in downtown Columbia creates custom design jewelry and has been for over 30 years? From one-of-a-kind engagement rings to wedding bands and so much more. We want each piece to be as unique as you are and create a family heirloom for tomorrow. Call today and make an appointment with one of our designers. And just for calling, you will receive a free 30-minute consultation. Tillis Jewelry, creating custom jewelry proudly in Tennessee.
Spring starts at Trips Ace Hardware. On Saturday, April 25th, join us for our 5th annual Spring Day. Our garden center will be in full bloom. Explore premium grills from Rectech, Weber, and Big Green Egg with live demos throughout the day, and Milwaukee Tool on site with a full demo tent. Come see us at 112 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Thanks for shopping local at Trips Ace.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Do you have trees that need trimming or removed? Do you have stumps that you want grounded? A1 Tree Trimming and Removal is a family-owned and operated business local to Columbia and Lewisburg. They also service surrounding Middle Tennessee. We are licensed and insured and provide free estimates. No job is too big, no tree is too small. Give old Luke a call or text Luke at 931-359-3113. Or you can check them out on Facebook and tell A1 Tree Removal that you heard this ad on the radio. If you love America, then you will love A1 Tree Removal.
You're not just a homeowner, you're also an ice maker that didn't read the job description owner. Fortunately, you've got heating and cooling built and tested to keep going. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call Davis Heating and Cooling at 931-388-2090 for all your home comfort needs. Davis Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard dealer and proudly serves the Murray County area. Find Davis Heating and Cooling online and on Facebook or call today, 388-2090.
This is Debbie Matthews with the Nashville Realty Group, and if you've been paying attention, you know the housing market has been tough. but rates are beginning to thaw. So if you're thinking about selling, the time to jump in is getting better every day. But if you're thinking about buying and those interest rates are still a little bit too high, a good agent knows how to negotiate interest rate buy downs. And I'm a good agent. So call me, Debbie Matthews with National Realty Group, 615-476-3224.
Hi, I'm Matt Perales, manager of Murray County Equipment. We help you with all your agriculture and construction equipment needs. We carry a full line of New Holland tractors from compacts to high horsepower. We have a full line of Gravely mowing equipment. We also have New Holland construction equipment, attachments, and accessories for your tractors and a complete parts department. We are locally owned and operated. Come see us at 1075 North James Campbell Boulevard or learn about us on Facebook or contact us at 931-490-8183.
This is Trip Stoltz with Columbia Ace Hardware. I love listening to 101.7 WKOM FM, Columbia, Tennessee.
The Mules are back in town, April 9th to 11th at the Murray County Park, Columbia, Tennessee. Live music, vendors, contests, and yes, mules. Mule pulling, gated mules, mule scrambles, and more. Join us Thursday through Saturday at the Murray County Park. Don't miss the Mule Day Parade, 11 a.m. Saturday, April 11th. Visit muleday.com for a complete schedule of events. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Happy you'll be, or the service is free. And the Murray County Visitors Bureau. Plan your visit now at experiencemurray.com.
Welcome back into the middle of it. Jeb Hart here with you on this beautiful Wednesday. It's heating up here on me a bit. Got Clayton Harris in the studio. How are we, Clay?
Doing well, Jeb. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Nothing has changed in the past 3 minutes. I did stand up and walk over there, but I still remain just absolutely peachy. When we left for the break, we're kind of wrapping up the update of what we're seeing in this isn't the bombs one. This is the coalition that's forming, because it's important to know what we're looking at when we see it, is because it's a test. Can a group of nations with different priorities, different politics, different constraints, both militarily, financially, and politically, function as one system? Not a formal alliance, not NATO, something looser, something faster, something more flexible. Because if this works, it becomes a pretty solid model, not one dominant force, but coalitions built around specific problems. Shipping lanes, oh, y'all get stuff from there? So do we. It also messes with our money. Do you want to make sure that's cool? Awesome. Energy security, cyber threats. This is what the future could look like in real time. Now let's bring it back to you, because this is where it actually kind of starts to hit home with us. It's because markets don't react to events, they react to risk. And I had an issue in the previous show where Ronnie had brought up, like, they didn't think the Strait of Hormuz was that big of a problem, or oil got too high and they had to address it. I have a lot of pushback there, because there's absolutely no way that the calculation was not made about the cost-benefit analysis of the Strait of Hormuz. That's been their go-to deterrence tactic forever. Right. So, of course, that had been thought of. So you look at things like the Strait of Hormuz, one of the biggest risk points and choke points on the planet. If it closes even briefly as it has, we're not talking about a minor disruption. We're talking about something serious oil spikes, shipping delays, the insurance costs of moving these ships surging or stopping them. And that doesn't stay over in the Strait of Hormuz. That hits everything from energy to goods to supply chains, just across the board. Everything in your daily life does have ripple effects. So the distinction to be made here is when markets see one country acting alone, they price it as risk. Like, they put that into risk categories. When they see a coordinated network, they price that as stability. It's not certainty, but stability. It's less risky of one bad actor nation, whoever it may be, going rogue or doing something. There's a big difference because this coalition isn't just about defense, it's about confidence in what's to come next. It's not to say in any way that it eliminates the risk, because it doesn't. But when you have this many players, this many assets, this much tension put together, things can escalate, but it does change the equation. It raises the cost for anyone who's trying to disrupt the system, because now you're not challenging just one navy, even if it is the biggest in the world. You're challenging a network, and that adds in other aspects of financial levers that can be pulled from individual places. And a network is harder to break than one nation. And that's the part that's worth watching going forward, because if it holds, if it works, it's not just a response, it's a preview of a potential reshaping of how we do things in the world and how global security actually functions, with shared responsibility, distributed enforcement, coalitions protecting global interests that are theirs and aligning with others who have the same. Like, we picked teams so long ago that if we don't have a trade agreement basically you look at the teams, it'll be, before it was China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, North Korea, Cuba, and a few of the other, Palestine and Lebanon and Syria less so now since the regime change. And there's teams, they all work with each other, and then all the other teams work with one another. And there's a few, Pakistan and some others, that cross the line and do other things. But for the most part, everybody kind of exists within their concentric bubbles, and some have complete embargoes or don't deal with it at all. But if nations had the ability to just come together and say, this is in our interest at a global scale, it's in your interest, yours, let's do this together, make sure it's safe, stable, other shareholders involved, while we can cross over this line of our own making as to how these teams are split, because we just agreed that they're split and we have to be hostile. There's nothing written that we have to be mean or mad all the time. Like, we could work things out in a way that's beneficial for everybody if we were willing to do it and it was set correctly. Because in that kind of structure might be one of the few things that could hold all of it together. Because when the world's most important shipping lane is on the line, like it is now, or whatever might come in the future, you don't just learn who has power, you learn who's willing to show up and use it, and how effective they are when they decide to. And that's the next chapter in this. And that's the off ramp that we're looking into. And that actually happened faster than I thought, because I didn't think that they would start to show up until the regime felt as though it was in much shakier place, or they came to the table with more. I thought that Europe would take longer to do this, but they're getting the stuff rolling before. And I think that that's part of between Europe and the Gulf nations, who are also, affected by it. I think between this and the common enemy and the global, financial ripple effects that it causes, could either create the best of friends or the worst of enemies. And everybody recognizes that the best of friends is a much easier road to take, because Europe needs the oil out of there anyway. They're going to. It's going to happen. And while they don't want to appear in their, socialist countries, socialist aspiring countries, that they are in any way participating in this war, they have the political side that they have to tiptoe. But if they can say, we have to get it anyway, and this isn't a fight of war, this is just to protect so things are cheaper. A lot of them, the Just Stop Oil people in England and Holland and all that, or their political world is we talk about people who are crazy on the left or people who are crazy on the right. The left over there is very, not always, but they do make ours in some cases look very tame, or at least logical in something. Gluing your hand to a bridge to stop oil with a petroleum-based glue is, they're not and filming it on an iPhone made out of plastics and glass on satellites that got shot into space by jet fuel made out of oil. All of it is just devoid of logic. So there, but those leaders over there are working with a different political climate than we are, with much more sensitive populations and things like that. We're America. We have done this forever. We still have people who are all against it, but it's not part of, it's kind of part of our national DNA is we've been, Team America World Police for quite a bit. People have problems with it, and as do I. Um, but it just kind of, it's less politically risky in the United States to start throwing hands or moving ships. Other places it's different. So them coming earlier is a very good sign, I think. And I'm excited to see where that goes. And I'm not shocked that it doesn't get nearly. Is CNN putting those 30 nations up there on the
Negative.
screen? Yeah, I would imagine that is in fact the case. That did not garner a lot of attention. And I think because the boats are physically moving there at the moment. Like it's not a hypothetical. It is a thing that's happening. And I think it's a very underreported story that does signal, because all we hear about is, Keir Starmer going back and forth, sounding like the biggest wuss on the planet. I don't know if you saw the SNL UK.
I did not.
So they started a Saturday Night Live. I don't know if it's UK or Britain or England, or it's out of the United Kingdom. It's like a British SNL, pretty straightforward. And they had their first episode of it a few days ago. And their cold open was one of their actors being Sir Keir Starmer, British Prime Minister, like trying to like psych himself up to call Trump. He's like, but what if he's mean to me? What if he yells? I'm so scared. I just want him to like me. And it was actually relatively funny, but that's all we see is Europe's divide, or them not sending, or them not help, like them saying they weren't going to help. And that was not even completely correct. It was they hadn't sent anything yet, or they were negotiating what their involvement would be. We heard a ton about that, about how like Trump asked for help and they all said no. Now that they are.
Yeah, I mean, now they are helping, they're not mentioning a damn word about it. But you know why? I mean, we all know why. It's because it's the Trump derangement syndrome. They hate the man, and they're going to be CNN, all these other cable news places that hate on Trump all the time, 24/7, are going to be screwed in 2.5 years.
I mean, John Brennan was on, I don't know if it's CNN or MS now. There's a lady that looks like Joy Reid but doesn't. The other bald lady.
Yeah.
I think it was John Brennan, a man who was in charge of some of our most serious secrets, in charge of intelligence, was on a panel show, and they were having a serious debate about whether or not Trump was lying about the negotiations happening with Iran. This was 2 days ago. And John Brennan says, Iran says, some sources in Iran say that these aren't happening. And, I'm more inclined to believe Iran than I am President Trump. They've presented themselves as more trustworthy. Trump couldn't recognize the truth if it was standing, hit him right in the face or something like that. And then less than a couple hours later, Iran confirmed that, yes, we're having talks and it's happening. This need to immediately dismiss, or, to take Iran's side of a communication issue when all their state-run media has done for the past month has been put out AI videos of the Abraham Lincoln or the Gerald R. Ford being blown up. Like the Gerald R. Ford has been blown up 800 times thus far on the internet, and yet somehow it's still fine. And yet John Brennan sits there and goes, "I trust them more than Trump."
I'm telling
you,
you, right,
you hate him.
I'm telling you right now, man. If Iran sank one of our ships out right now in the Mediterranean or wherever, I think some folks would celebrate. I mean, I really do. I'm serious. I really think they would.
There are people who they wouldn't openly celebrate, but they would say internally, "Sweet, I have a good talking point.
Yeah, it's Trump's fault. Yeah.
He got them killed. He did this. Then there's the other side of it of people who would be psyched that it happened because then they're like, all right, now we get to invade. Now we get to, there'll be the hawkish war hawk people who are like, they touched a boat. Have they never been on the internet before? I mean, we went over the founding of the U.S. Navy. We went over about the Barbary pirates and the touching of boats. It's a long and storied history between Pearl Harbor, Korean War, Vietnam, Spanish-American War, Barbary Wars. Don't touch our boats. And if they touch the boat, then it would be absolutely game over, because that is a cardinal rule of geopolitics, is no boat touching. And so there'd be another side that'd be psyched. But you're right, there is the twisted cynicism of, and I think those people who are doing that genuinely don't believe that they're rooting for the U.S. to fail. They think that they probably need to fail right now so that people like Trump aren't given power anymore. And while they don't want the U.S. to fail, it's important that we do, because this won't happen again. And
I think you're giving them way too much credit. I
think there's a part of it that they might self-justify. I might be giving them too much credit, but
I think they hate Trump so much that they don't. They would rather see Trump fail, which would equate us, us also failing as a country, over everything else.
And I'm sure there's that. I don't doubt it. But I think there are some who are like, yes, I don't want us to win. But I think us losing this now is for the greater good long term, because it will sully this MAGA movement, which is so dangerous and terrible that, if we lose this, it's probably for the best. They can mental gymnastics it to where they're actively rooting for long-term America, not now, because you can play crazy tricks and trick your mind in a lot of different ways. So we will, when we get back, I shall regale you, as is my duty, with a delightful Florida man tale to close out our show for you today. Thank you for being with us. See you on the other side.
This is Coach Tredaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
That's the way to do it.
We at Hollins Pharmacy must be doing something right. We've been providing pharmaceutical services in the Middle Tennessee area for over 60 years. The guiding principles of our business are fast, accurate, friendly, personal service. We do not have long waiting lines, and our phone calls are answered by a staff member. We strive to get to know our customers by name, not just a date of birth or number. We are your locally owned hometown pharmacy, and we appreciate your business. We urge you to come visit us at Hollins Pharmacy, 1608 Hatcher Lane here in Columbia.
Hey, this is Derek Ransom with 10 Pin Alley, voted #1 family entertainment center in Murray County. We offer 32 bowling lanes, giant arcade, laser tag, bumper cars, and a full cafe and bar menu. We also specialize in group events, kids and adult birthday parties, company parties, sports team parties, and holiday parties. We're located at 322 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Call us today at 931-381-BOWL or visit us at 10pin.com. 10 Pin Alley, it's where the good times roll.
In today's uncertain world, you can never be too careful about your family's financial future. That's why the Parker Group, a part of Baird's Private Wealth Management, is offering a free second opinion on your financial plans. Let us review your current plan, and we will identify any gaps and offer suggestions to improve it. Please call the Parker Group at 931-548-3737. That's 931-548-3737. Robert W. Baird & Company Incorporated does not offer tax or legal advice.
This is Mark Curry at the Trailer Store. We are a local, family-owned business. Every day, I work with my wife, Susie, my mother, Becky, and my son, Justin. We offer a full line of lawnmower trailers, utility trailers, stock trailers, and a full line of trailer parts. We also offer service. Come see us at 1021 New Lewisburg Highway. Call us at 931-381-2795. That's 931-381-2795.
Farmer Johnny here, Taylor Family Farm. Want to give y'all a little look-see.
We raise 100% non-GMO, grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and pork on our family farm. Everything that we grow is raised with love and care to ensure the highest quality and nutrition for our family and customers. You can shop online at TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com or visit our farm store in person at Etheridge, Tennessee at 301 Dave Reisner Road. That's TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dobson, owner of Caring Hearts Home Healthcare here in Columbia. For over 20 years, we've proudly served our community, locally owned and operated, providing trusted care you can count on. We support seniors, individuals with disabilities, and even short-term care after surgery. From personal care to homemaking and companionship, our team is here to help you or your loved one live safely and comfortably at home. Call Caring Hearts today at 931-381-5470 or stop by in person 1121 Trotwood Avenue here in Columbia.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley. And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones & Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones & Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Hello, my name is Zach Maddox. I'm a proud third-generation owner-operator of Columbia Paint and Wallcover, founded by my grandfather, Ralph Maddox, in 1946. We offer a variety of paint and wallcovering products, but our passion is customer service. We can offer many personalized services and can come out to your house or business if needed. Come visit us at our Columbia location or our new Spring Hill location behind Church of the City, or visit us online at paintcolumbia.com.
This is Coach Devin Simler from Columbia Central Baseball. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are Rick rolling our way into the final segment, unbeknownst to me. We've gone from Loggins, or not Loggins, that's Michael McDonald. Michael McDonald and Kenny Loggins are the ones who started Yacht Rock, those playing at home, to a little Rick Astley. So, fun little Wednesday for us. Jeb Hart here with you, Clayton Harris there. I assume he's still well, but I will check in. How are we?
I'm here.
All
Good
right, glad to
afternoon.
hear.
Good early afternoon.
All right. So as I've alluded to before, I'm going to tell y'all a story because every now and then a news item comes along that is less of a headline and more of a cry for help from the human condition. And when that happens, it's my duty, nay, my obligation to bring it to you. And this one, as most of them do, come out of Florida. And I can probably assume what you're thinking, that, of course, it's out of Florida. How this is crazy by even Florida standards, so it stands out. So before I get into this, like I told y'all earlier, I did what any responsible journalist / dude with a microphone should do, and I tried to verify it. And I went looking for the original report or the police report to track it down at the, from the station or the news station that reported it. I found sources on it, but none of them I could justifiably deem as reputable, which either means this is made up, or they have the fastest attorney ever who got the name sealed. But either way, we're going to proceed because if it is real, I cannot withhold this from you. A woman, an adult human, has been accused of breaking into a penguin enclosure at a Florida zoo to teach the penguins how to tap dance. Now, if we could sit with that for a moment, not to feed them, not to rescue them, not to protest living conditions or for a gay penguin wedding. No, she looked at a group of penguins, nature's most formally dressed of birds, and thought, you know what these boys need? A bit of choreography. And, if that wasn't enough, she couldn't do this alone because this is obviously a two-person operation, as we all know. Teaching penguins to tap dance is not a solo operation. So she enlisted the help of a live alligator as her tap dance partner. Now, at this point, Clayton's face says it as well. If you're like me, you are no longer asking what happened. You're asking a series of life decisions went together to amount to this moment. Because nobody wakes up one morning and says, today is the day I combine 3 unrelated ecosystems in Broadway. And There are steps. There should be warning signs. At some point in her life, a teacher, a parent, a guidance counselor had to look at her and say, you know, maybe let's not pursue the arts. And now, and she's like, no, I think I found my niche, reptile-based performative instruction. And now, everybody, you want to picture the scene in your head because it's nighttime. There's a quiet zoo. The penguins are just, I guess, being penguins, waddling, existing, probably judging us silently in their tuxedos, as they always have. And suddenly, here comes a woman. And God bless it, I forgot about this detail. Dressed as a pineapple. Again, the fact that
there is just no way. I mean,
I prefaced it with, I'm not deeming it as reputable, but I have to report it in case it is, with the caveat, because here we are in the situation. So we've got dancing penguins, a live alligator, pineapple instructor. This is not a crime. This is a fever dream with a very specific dress code. And if it wasn't already off the rails, at that point, it starts to collapse from here. Because, I mean, as soon as I heard the story, the same way that you're going, like, the more you read about it, the less information you actually have and the more questions you start to get. Because I would like to know, just as a matter of basic citizenship, where did she get the alligator? Was it a zoo alligator? Did she check it out like a library book? Like, yeah, I'll have it for 45 minutes working on a routine. Did she bring her own? Because if you have your own alligator, we've skipped several important chapters in your life story. How big was the alligator? Like,
does
there's
the
a big difference.
alligator not want to eat the penguins?
I know there's a big difference between slightly concerning lizard and prehistoric problem with teeth. Like, were they waltzing?
Yeah.
Was it resisting? Was it emotionally supportive? I don't know. Like, I should not have to know this, but I can't, like, nobody is addressing the central logistical problem there. How do you teach a tap dancing to an animal that doesn't, they have little flippers and paws? Like, penguins don't tap dance. I mean, there was a movie with Happy Feet. Maybe she's a big fan. Like, they shuffle with aggressive purpose, and that's their whole brand. So, you know, I want to know, like, did she have music? Like, was she counting it out like 5, 6, 7, 8?
Aren't
Like, you're rushing.
Aren't toes required to tap dance?
Audio is required. When you tap, you just need to make the pop. Tap shoes have a little metal on them. It's like, right. I don't think you need a toe. You can do it with the club feet if you're dexterous enough. There's no limitations on the tap dancing community, Clayton. Don't put them in a cage.
Apparently, you can kill people without arms and legs too with a gun.
Yeah, I see you that video.
Cool.
Yeah, we touched on that. Yeah, there was we touched on for part of the ridiculous story from yesterday. The quadriplegic cornhole national champion accused of murder by gun in a moving car. Video has surfaced of him discharging a firearm on multiple occasions with shockingly decent proficiency, given the very serious limitations. So all the questions I was rattling around yesterday about, like, was there a prosthetic? Is there like a hook? Is there a, nope. He's doing it with what God gave him. Well, in spite of what God gave him, I guess. Yeah, there's videos that have supported that this is not some Rube Goldberg machine gun thing. Like, he has an ability to shoot a gun. But that was yesterday's crazy story.
So,
we're not done.
I mean, what do you believe more, though? Do you believe, what's more believable? That a man without arms and legs shot and killed another man, or that a man without arms and legs is an actual cornhole champion?
I think he's the only one with arms and legs who's not a cornhole champion, so that one is probably least likely. I'm sure in the history of time there's been murders by quadriplegics. It's not a high crime demographic, I would guess, but I don't think it's unheard of. But also, both of them are true. He is a documented national champion of cornhole, and there are plenty of videos of him shooting a gun. So
I find it less believable that he's a cornhole champion, although he is.
I know, like I said, it's less likely because he's the only one who is. So that part's all crazy. But again, we still got penguins to teach to tap dance, and we're not done yet.
That's true.
Because, like I said, she's counting. You're like, come on, Greg, you're rushing it. There's always a penguin named Greg in my stories that I'm making up in my head. And Greg's just not getting it. He's too early on the timing. That's what the alligator's there for, intimidation, perhaps. And it stops being a bad idea and becomes just a production, because you don't actually become a pineapple with an alligator in a penguin exhibit. There's a series of commitments. This is planning. This is a calendar invite. You work your day around, I mean, you work a week around making sure you have time for your pineapple penguin tap dance instruction. And like, I don't know where this gets covered. I'm sure Florida, and this is where I do want to extrapolate on, because I do really hope that in police training in Florida, they have like a different class of like Florida related incidents. There's just like a list of things that have happened strictly in Florida and only in Florida, and how to respond to them appropriately, because they definitely have to. I mean, the same thing with like, Mounties in Canada have like cold weather training because that's what they encounter. Like, there has to be some class in Florida police. Like, all right, if they throw the alligator at you through the Wendy's drive-through, this is the steps we take, because that's certainly happened many times in Florida.
Yeah.
And like, I just want to know the classes that prepare them for, like, at the academy, like, you learn the procedure through de-escalation and all this stuff. And then one night you open the gate and there's a woman in a pineapple leading a reptile in a dance rehearsal with penguins. And you're like, thank God we took Florida Man class. We are, many people will be out of their depth here. We are right in our element. And like, you're just trying to understand the reality of the story. And again, which is why it does seem like it could lend itself to not being real. I keep coming back to the Penguins, because nobody ever asked the Penguins how they feel about this. The Penguins are not unserious animals. They mate for life. They survive brutal conditions. They walk around like mid-level accountants with very, very dark secrets. And now suddenly they're being told, all right, everybody, 5, 6, 7, 8. At some point, one penguin had to look at another and be like, we left the Antarctica for this bullshit. Like, nuh-uh. And we got to talk about the alligator for a second, because that might be the most reasonable participant in the entire situation. Because the alligator didn't sign up for dance. The alligator was having a normal day. And suddenly it's a duet. Like, the alligator is sitting there thinking, I was promised chaos, not theater. But like, it's beyond comedy, because every once in a while you see a story and it reminds you that human beings have this incredible ability to take imagination and completely remove it from reality. This woman had a vision. It was not a good vision. It was not a useful vision, but was fully committed to that vision. And there's something almost admirable about that level of confidence and misguided dedication. Is it dumb? Absolutely. Illegal? Apparently so. But confident? Whew, absolutely. Because most people have one bad idea and they stop. She had five bad ideas, combined them together into one production, and just saw it through to the end. That is not poor judgment. That is solid project management. And somehow along the way, she had to acquire the pineapple costume, an alligator, access to a penguin enclosure, and the sheer belief in herself and in those penguins that this dance lesson would go from mediocre to greatness. And, I think the worst part about this is the penguins. They're going to have this story forever, and they're going to have to deal with this, and no one is going to believe them. They're gonna have to tell this, like, yeah, we know, Greg, you keep talking about that never happened. He's like, no, it did. It was there. And now they're gonna be liar penguins. They're gonna have to shoulder this burden of, we've talked a lot about secrets and who carries them, holds them, disappearance. And the next conspiracy, these penguins might go missing because they're spreading rumors of, we'll see how it unfolds. But again, I tend to agree with you, Clayton. I researched it. I've not found anything credible enough. I haven't found the mugshot of the alligator or the woman outside of what was on the tweet. And so it very well could lend itself to not being true. But my favorite part about it is that it could be true. And Florida man, Florida woman, in their reputation has laid the groundwork for it to not be. Because if you said New York man did this, you would be like, oh no, that didn't happen. Or, Tennessee man, not really. Texas, no. California, no. Florida man, you're like, all right, let's hear him out. Let's see. I mean, let's see if it checks. I mean, I need to check the boxes. Was there security footage? Did we? That is a testament to their reputation preceding them in the shenanigans that is pulled in the Sunshine State. But I I rarely hope that a crime story is real because no crime is good. But selfishly, I must say that I do hope there is some truth in this because I need to interview the woman and I need to figure out like there's because if it is true, I mean it's a mini series because there's a before because what led to that is just as fascinating as the event itself and then the fallout. But sadly it might not be.
If it is
But
true,
only
though,
time.
you're 100% correct. It will be a Netflix miniseries or something.
One can only hope. But y'all, we are at the end of our time with y'all today. I appreciate y'all taking with me. We got Clay Travis and who comes on after this?
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Buck, Trey and Buck coming on next. We will see y'all tomorrow. Thank y'all for being in the middle of it. Until I see you next, don't let anybody do your thinking for you. Be careful, be kind, be good. And until I see you next time, good afternoon. See you later.